During the next hour, we are to hear the great American actor and author, George M. Cohan, rehearsing and playing a scene from his latest drama. The glamour of backstage has always been irresistibly alluring to most of us. But when the most famous actor-manager in the United States invites the radio audience to meet him backstage during the rehearsal of his latest play, it's more than alluring, it's news. For that reason, John B. Kennedy, well-known commentator of the National Broadcasting Company, has journeyed to Pittsburgh in order to be on the spot in introducing George M. Cohan to our listeners. The magic key of RCA turns to Mr. Kennedy speaking from backstage in the Nixon Theatre in Pittsburgh.
Good afternoon, all. If there's one name that nutshells all that is fine in the American theater, it's the name of George M. Cohan. Everything he has ever written or produced has the rare virtue of being not only clever but clean. His name is the name of an era in American entertainment. Even on blasé Broadway, where reputations can be as brittle as promises, George M. Cohan is revered because he has everything it takes to be great: genius, courage, and what is no less important, kindness. Today, the magic key of RCA presents Mr. Cohan, author of 100 hits, on the eve of the opening of his new play entitled Dear Old Darling. Backstage at the Nixon Theatre in Chicago, stagehands are setting up a solid scene.
In Pittsburgh, kid.
In Pittsburgh, Mr. Cohan, pardon. Thank you for the correction. The interior of a rich bachelor's living room. Max Masonovich, the technical director, the same Masonovich who saved scores of lives at the disastrous Iroquois Theatre fire in Chicago years ago, he's bossing the stage crew. You may hear these boys in their parts. There's the tense eagerness of a final rehearsal. Mr. Cohan and Sam Forrest are in a huddle.
Sam, I'm not satisfied with the curtain of this first act. Let's speed it up a little. What do you say?
I don't know, George. I think it's fast enough.
Well, you know, Sam, we've got to cut about 15 minutes out of this thing, you know.
Yeah, and we're opening tomorrow night.
No.
Mr. Cohan, will you pardon me for a second? But will you, in your own words, just tell us the story of this play up to the time you pick up the telephone in this scene?
Remember, Mr. Kennedy, we're opening tomorrow night.
Now, listen, Sam, that's a reasonable request. Now, I've been on radio before, and sounds all right to me, you know.
All right. I don't know anything about radio, but I do know that we're opening tomorrow night.
No brutality, gentlemen.
No. Well, now, John, the story's this. You see, I play the part of a fellow named Miller, a 50-year-old bachelor, and I'm engaged to an attractive widow. And Miller's just returned from a trip abroad, you see, where he's met a beautiful little 18-year-old girl named Jane Mayo. And she's been accompanied by a traveling companion, sort of a chaperone, rather an unattractive Miss Taylor, her name is. The girl is apparently infatuated with this old fella, Miller, that's me, and follows him all over Europe and back again to New York. You see? That's my part, you see, Miss Kennedy.
Well, that ought to be easy to take, George.
Well, anyway, Miller's been back for about a week, and this girl has pestered him with telephone calls and telegrams, attempting to see him in his home and one thing or another, and he's successfully sidestepped this issue up to the action of up to the time the play starts, you see? But an ardent sort of telegram that she sent to him has been read by Miller, and his fiancée has seen the telegram. You understand that?
Yeah.
Now, he's been on the square, and he's acted only in a fatherly manner toward this little girl, but the fiancée calls him a liar. Quiet, boys, just a minute, will you, while I'm telling this story? The fiancée calls him a liar and walks out on him, you see that?
That's enough of the synopsis, George. Let's get to work. Come on, boys.
Wait a minute, will you please, Sam? I've got to get this plain enough so even the moving picture people can understand it. See what I mean, Mr. Kennedy? Well, at the beginning of this bit, we're rehearsing, you see, and we find Miller in a terrible jam. Now, the girl has broken into his home and has told him that the difference in their ages doesn't mean anything at all to her. She loves him, you see, and Taylor, the chaperone, has followed the girl there to the house, and she's trying to get her to go home with her. You understand that? Now, outside, walking up and down the other side of the street, is a mysterious sort of person whom Jane suspects. Jane's the little girl, and she suspects that she's been followed by this fella. And he appears to be watching the house. You see that? Well, as we begin this bit, Miller's telephoning to his pal, a fellow named Joe Leggett, played by Charlie Brown, a great actor, by the way, who has gone out in search of Jane and Taylor, hoping to get them and square Miller with his fiancée by telling the truth of the whole episode.
Oh, George, we open tomorrow night.
Oh,
let's begin.
Okay, Sam, okay. We'll start the scene right now, John. You can tell. I'm on the phone. Hello, Joe? Yes, I did. I know they're not there. They're here. Yes, they're right here now. Hurry up. I'll tell you when you get here. Hurry up.
Are you going home with me or not, young woman?
I may never go home again.
James, my child, have you lost all reason?
Beg pardon, sir. That man's back again.
Again? You've been followed again, Jane.
He's back again?
Yep, there he is. You see him?
Yes, sir, there he is. Couldn't we find out if he's really following us? Couldn't we send over and ask him what he's doing there?
You want to do that?
Would you?
Acton, run over there and ask that fellow what he's doing, walking up and down over there.
Why, I'd be afraid to do that, sir.
Well, then run over there and ask him to come over here, and I'll ask him. Go on, do as I tell you. Hurry up.
Think I should, sir?
Do as you're told. Hurry along. Listen here, Jane. This is the second trip that fella's been back since you left.
Came back the second time?
Yes, and then he trailed your mother's cab downtown in another cab.
He did?
We watched him do it.
Why should he trail Mother's cab?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it at all.
Taylor, you said I was being followed. Am I being followed?
All I can tell you is that we've known every move you've made since you broke your engagement.
Shadows. What a detestable thing to do to a girl.
Aha, there goes Acton across the street. He's waving to the fella, see? He's talking to him now. Can you see him?
Yes, I see him. He's pointing up here, isn't he?
Yes, Acton is, yes. He's got him. Here he comes. Aha! He's bringing him. Now then, we'll find out a little something about this Sherlock Holmes business.
Jane, for the last time, are you coming home with me or not?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Jane, my child, just come over here.
Right in here, sir, please. That gentleman there, sir.
Oh, how do you do?
You want to see me?
Why, yes, I did ask my man if he'd go over there and ask you to come over here. I hope you don't mind.
Never mind whether I mind or not. What do you want?
Well, I was just wondering why you kept walking up and down across the street over there. You kept walking up and down. I watched you walking up and down. You seemed to keep walking up and down all the time. I was just wondering why, and I thought perhaps you wouldn't mind my asking you.
Ask me what?
Why you kept walking up and down the sidewalk over there.
Isn't that what sidewalks are for? Walk up and down on? What did you want me to do? Jump up and down?
Oh, no. Now, I was just curious, that's all.
Oh, you're just curious, eh? And that's why you asked me to come over here, huh? Just so you could ask me why I was walking up and down the sidewalk.
Well, it did seem sort of funny to me. I was just sort of wondering who you were, that's all.
Uh-huh. You're wondering who I was, huh?
Well, yes, I was, to tell the truth, yes.
Well, you got a sweet piece of cheek to send for me and question me about walking up and down the sidewalk. Are you the fellow that owns the sidewalks around here or something like that?
Oh, no, now, don't misunderstand me, please. I saw you walking up and down there, and I was just wondering.
You were wondering why?
Well, if you want to know, I was wondering why you were watching this house.
Who said I was watching this house?
Well, I thought you were watching the house. I don't know.
Well, what made you think I was watching this house? What's going on in this house that you're so afraid of being watched? And even if I was watching this house, what's it to you?
Well, you see, this happens to be my house, that's all.
Oh, you admit that, do you?
I admit what?
That this is your house?
Yes, it's my house, yes.
Well, I found that much out anyway. What's your name?
Now, what do you want to know that for?
For the same reason you wanted to know why I was walking up and down the sidewalk. I'm just curious, that's all. What's your name?
Now, wait a minute. What's your authority for all of this?
Oh, you want to see something, do you? Pretty badge, isn't it? Come on, what's your name?
My name's Miller, Calvin Miller.
Oh, so you're the Miller party himself, eh? Well, now I know what you look like anyway. I've got you placed all right.
You've got me placed for what?
For plenty. Believe me, plenty. That's all I want out of you. Now I'll get these ladies' names in my notebook, too, if you don't mind. Who are you? What's your name and address?
Julia Taylor, Atlantic Apartment.
Julia Taylor, Atlantic Apartment. Would you know this man if you saw him again?
I hope I never see him again.
Well, you may have to if you're subpoenaed. That's all for you. So, you're the Miller party himself, eh? Come on, young lady. What's your name and address?
You know my name and address.
Come on, no kidding. What's your name and address?
I'm the girl you've been following the past few days.
That I've been following.
Oh, you're not very skillful. I've known it right along.
Is that so? And what have you been doing that you suspect you're being followed, huh?
Don't insult me. I'm not altogether unintelligent.
Now, don't get stylish with me. Come across with your name and address.
Jane Mayo, Atlantic Apartment.
Jane...
And you needn't write it down. You already know it.
Say, what a sassy kid you are. Atlantic Apartments. Oh, same place you live, Miss Taylor, hmm?
Yes, and I've been trying to get her to come home with me.
Yeah? Why don't you go home with a lady?
None of your business.
No? So, you wanted to find out why I was walking up and down the sidewalk, eh, Mr. Miller? You wanted to go home, don't you, Miss Taylor?
I certainly do, and away from that old Rouen.
Oh, so that's why you thought the house was being watched, huh? I see.
Now, you look here. Let me tell
Keep
you...
your shut closed if you're smart. Come on, get out of here and go home with the lady.
I certainly do not intend to.
Go on, go home. You better go home. Go on, go ahead.
You bet your life she's going. She's going, lady, to make sure I'm going right along with you. And so you just wanted to find out why I was walking up and down the sidewalk, eh? By gad, I've got to compliment you on that. Talk about one for the book.
That's one for the whole public library. That is...
All right, folks, hold it a minute.
What is it, Sam? What is it?
Let's skip the exit for the private cop, Jane and Taylor, and let's get right down to the curtain line of the first hit. Now, where you call in the police, call up police headquarters.
I've got you. All right. Action! Yes, sir. Get me police headquarters on the wire right away.
Police headquarters?
Police headquarters, yes. I want to talk to the commissioner.
The commissioner?
The commissioner, yes. That's the man I want to talk to. The commissioner. The commissioner. That's who I'll talk to. The commissioner. How was that, Mr. Kennedy?
I think it was swell, Mr. Cohan. I wish we could put on the rest of it.
What was it? What's that you said?
Well, let's knock off the lunch.
The radio guys can eat, but not the actors. Oh, no.
Yes, and don't forget...
You only open tomorrow night. Thank you, George Cohan.
Thanks
to your fine company for showing us how George M. Cohan hits our bill.
How much I enjoyed
Good luck.
this.